Good morning, magic players and card collectors of all kinds. Welcome back to our channel. Kaiba and I are here today on this beautiful Sunday morning. And by beautiful, I mean at least it looks pretty. It is actually incredibly ugly out there. Real feel right now is 26 degrees, and within the hour it's going to get up to real feel of 30. For those of you who are in the States, basically, if I remember correctly, I think like 32 is like 100 for you guys. Something like that. I think it's the conversion. So, I mean, we're getting pretty high up there for where I live. It's not normal. They've definitely put out like a heat wave warning for the next 3 or 4 days, so gotta be playing it safe. Um, Somebody's not super happy. You'll see, there he is. He wants to go to the PARK, but we can't do that today because of the heat. So he's decided he's kind of confiscated the chair to a certain extent, so I'm really not able to sit it super comfortably, but a little piece of Kaiba. Bugs shed so much, it's ridiculous. Look at that. Puggy hair. Maybe when we eventually do, like, no, I'm just joking. I wouldn't do that. But it would be funny. Anyways, I was gonna say whenever we get to merchandise, we sell little bundles of Kaiba fluff, but no, that's just silly. Anyways, um, on a serious note, put this back up. On a serious note, I want to sincerely thank everybody who tuned in to the live stream last night. Those of you who came in during the live stream, um, I woke up this morning and at least another 5 or 6 people have watched it since then. The recording, which is pretty cool. Um, It means a lot to me. We got another subscriber last night. I don't know who the new person is, but thank you for joining the team. Um, or the crew, or whatever we're going to eventually call this group. um, but for now, I'm really happy that we did that. It's a huge step for me moving forward with the channel. Uh, it was really nice to do something new with you guys. Uh, I'm still wearing my pajamas from last night. It's like 7:30 in the morning, so I mean, like, it's still super early anyways. But yeah, I really had a lot of fun with you guys, and we cracked some cool packs. Didn't pull anything like major last night live, but I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll happen in the next one. We still have 20 some, I think 20-ish packs left from the bundle that I bought for the stream last night. Um, I'm going to try and get in touch with my brother this week and see if he knows when my dad's coming back. Potentially, if we're lucky, maybe I'll do another live stream next weekend. That would be fun. Get through some more of the packs. If worse comes to worse, eventually I'll just do like random grab on Saturdays once a month, and we'll do like 5 retro packs or something on Saturday at random choice. So, but I would love to do another live stream with you guys. It was really cool, and I liked answering your questions. Some really cool bigger YouTubers joined in that I'm really happy about as well. It was great. I'm sorry I'm not as enthusiastic as I might have been last night. I'm still really tired from staying up late with you guys for that, and Kaiba had me up at like 2:30, 3 o'clock to do our walk, and I haven't actually gone back to bed since. So just been kind of tidying up some more from last night and folding my laundry and stuff like that. I do have one deck that I want to touch up at some point, maybe today, maybe not. And I would love to get another game maybe this weekend, but we'll see what happens later today. All depends on how this little guy is. Anyways, we're of course here on Sunday. And Sunday is Super Deck Sunday! 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 Yes, I like to do the head tilt while I do that. um, I got this Precon a few weeks ago on sale at Tista Minis. Um, Great Precon from what I've read about and seen online. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it as a Precon itself or whether I'll eventually upgrade it. Um, right now, I think off the top of my head, just double check. I think I have 8 Precons that I've not touched at all. I have another 3 that I basically only took out the cards that did goading essentially and replaced them with stuff that I thought was on par with the power that those cards had. Or replace like a land with another land kind of thing, but I didn't like change more than let's say 5 or 10 cards in the deck. And then the rest of the precons that I've ever bought, I've just souped up massively because they were good starting bases for something that I wanted to build as a theme and have some fun with. So today, like I say, we're going to open this one. We're going to see how it actually looks in terms of its card base and stuff. I did not check the I think when I bought it, I checked the deck list, but I haven't looked at it since, so I don't remember what cards are in it, other than, of course, the commander, which is on the back here. So, should be good. It's one of the most expensive commanders I've ever actually uh, built to play. Beyond, let's say, no, even my dragon's only a 6/1. Is there anything that's higher than that I run as a commander? Because this commander was an 8 drop, so that's huge. But this is a massive landfall deck, so I mean, it's not like it's going to be impossible to play the commander. Like I say, I've seen people play this deck online, and it's definitely doable. So I'm not too worried about that. It's just I would not normally pick a legendary that big as a commander. I usually try to aim for maximum 6, and preferably 3 to 4 is like my average. If I can get a 2 drop, I get a 2 drop, but that doesn't happen a lot. All right, we got the lore here and such. We'll open that up and check it out. Ooh, pretty cactus. Don't see the actual commander there. Ah, okay, this is just about the deck. Desert Bloom, playing the deck. Thunder Junction's deserts may be dry and vast, but they're full of some of the most beautiful and powerful landscapes you've ever laid your eyes on. Just double check and make sure this. Yep, it's still working. Okay. Focus on discarding, sacrificing, and milling land cards into your graveyard and in the early game. Then start bringing them back in a rejuvenating flourish. You'll find the landscape even more rewarding when your lands have the desert subtype. Start putting your lands in the graveyard and use them to win with your cactus friends. Neat. Yuma Proud Protector. This is the commander. Yuma came to Thunder Junction looking for a new start. A former enforcer for a crime family on New Capenna, Yuma is a skilled fighter with the unique ability to talk to plants. Okay. Usually the plants are happy to listen and help him out in a pinch, but he hasn't grasped the language of Thunder Junction's flora quite yet. Yuma is true to himself and his beliefs and will always do what he thinks is right, a tendency that has put him on the wrong side of his former employers. When the Phyrexians invaded New Capenna, Yuma was tasked with guarding his boss, a high-ranking member of the Cabaretti family. However, spotting a group of children from another criminal family in peril, Yuma abandoned his charge to save their lives. Infuriated at this perceived betrayal, Yuma's boss banished him from the cabaret and put a price on his head. Now on the run, Yuma has slipped through an omen path and found himself on Thunder Junction. Here he's found a new life and a new purpose. Hungry and bawling baby cactus folk, lost and alone. Yuma now walks the plane, infant in tow, in search of the baby's family and determined to protect this one life in hopes of redeeming his own. Interesting. Neat. See, now, that is pretty cool. And it's not like, eh. I went on a rant the other day about loot. I'm not going to go completely into ranting on loot again because the cards they're producing for loot are good. It's just the theme and lore of loot kind of, eh. We've got our collector sample pack there that we will open at the end. Hopefully get something good. In the meantime, and between time, oh, they stuck the counter into the box. That's weird. They don't usually do it that way. You got your spin down, which actually is really boring. Usually they at least have a little bit of coloring and flavor to them. That one's not that I use those, but still. Assemble the box and check out the artwork on it. Maybe it's better. I mean, it's got your commander, standard wise, standard colors, nothing special per se that like shows off, for example, like it would be neat if this had, I know that they're cheap and they're going to fall apart really easy and blah 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 blah. But it would be neat if the artwork at least reflected the plane as well as the commander. Some of the other sets have done that, but Thunder Junction apparently did not. All right, let's open this up and see who's all inside this stick. I've decided going forward, I'm going to try my best to, at the very least, record all the longer form videos with this kind of setup, but it'll still have to be upstairs in my room. So I'm going to work out how that's going to be done this week for the Dollarama Draws at Destiny because like I said, I don't know when my dad's going to be back. I just knew it wasn't going to be this weekend. He could be back as far as I know tomorrow morning. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be back until at least Tuesday or later because Zach said that we still have to do plants and stuff for a while for him. But, anyways, I do like the full art commander. The full art commander is really pretty. Oh, I should turn on the light. Can I hit the light from here? Maybe. Tripod. Ah, come on. Yes. That is how we do things around here so that we don't disturb the puck. Always do what's best for puck. Beautiful baby. All right, that lighting should make things much better for you guys to see the cards. Here we go. Now check out this art. That is some beautiful artwork. If nothing else, like I say, the lore kind of sucked for this set, but the artwork was pretty decent. Not amazing. I mean, the one thing that really sucks is if you're going to do Western, you've got to do Western, which means you've got to commit and actually put guns in. And they did not put any guns into this set because Magic the Gathering doesn't do guns. So, which is kind of funny because they did Warhammer, and I'm pretty sure Warhammer has a ton of gun stuff in it. But anyways, so needless to say, that was one kind of another fail for this set. But at the same time, otherwise, I mean, I like the desert artwork and stuff, and like I said before, the mechanics in this set were pretty good. I do have another commander deck from this set that I souped up, and you'll eventually see on another Super Deck Sunday. But the third deck that I also have for Outlaws of Thunder Junction, I basically built myself from scratch. And although it's not completely Thunder Junction, it would probably have at least 25% cards from it, I would say. Anyways, let's start this so that we're not all in suspense forever, and I'm not rambling. Yima Proud Protector, like I say, costs 8 for a 6/6, which, again, pretty expensive, but it costs 1 less to cast for each land in your graveyard. So, I mean, if you get enough lands into your graveyard early, you can play them for 3. Whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, you can sacrifice a land, and if you do, you draw a card. Whenever a desert card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, you get to create a 4/2 plant warrior creature token with reach. So basically, this is going to be another sacrifice deck, which is awesome because I do like sacrifices decks. I have a few of them, not a lot, but I tend to. My big thing that I often build by accident, to be perfectly honest, it's not the original intent when I start building decks, but I have a tendency to often drift towards building token decks. I like token decks. I like to be able to build my board state really big. So I often end up building token decks just by accident. Like my vampire deck was not meant to be a token deck, but it has a lot of different types of tokens that it produces in the end now. So I find that pretty funny. And a lot of them are not vampires. But you'll see that deck on another super deck someday, some point. Not to worry, it's coming. I just wanted to do Outlaws of Thunder Junction, keep going with the theme this weekend. Plus, I've been wanting to open this deck for a while, so that gave me an excuse. Alright, we'll move on from the commander now. But the best part about this commander is you can get around commander attacks pretty solidly with this guy. Again, as long as you have enough lands in your graveyard. So I'm assuming this deck probably has at least 40 lands, and you're going to want to keep a high land count if you change anything in it. This would be the second commander potentially, and it's the little guy on his shoulder, so that's pretty cool. I didn't realize they actually made him a card. I like that. Kiri, Talented Sprout. Legendary creature plant druid, 0/3 for 4. Other plants and tree folk you control get +2/+0. At the beginning of your post combat main phase, return target plant, tree folk, or land card from your graveyard to your hand. Nice. So if you can play both of those together on the field, they will be really good with each other's triggers. Cool. I'm going to keep those two separate like that there so they show off. I'm going to put a lands pile here and then I'll do all the other stuff um, in the usual format that we do creatures and enchantments and sorceries and stuff all the way across at the bottom here. So Scavenger Grounds gives me a colorless, it's a desert, and I can sacrifice a desert to exile all graveyards. That's kind of messed up. In this deck, I don't know whether you really want to be doing that because you always want to have stuff in your graveyard. So, Oh, Sun Titan. Was not expecting that. It's a pretty solid card for this deck. Vigilance, whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you can return a target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. I think that can include a land, but I'm not 100% sure. Somebody let me know in the comments whether I'm right or not. I think that can include a land, though. Would be pretty cool if it does. Omnath, Locus of Rage. Nice. Legendary Elemental, 5/5 for 7. That's pretty expensive. But whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you get to create a 5/5 red and green elemental creature token. And whenever this thing or another elemental you control dies, Omnath deals 3 damage to any target. Oh, crud. So you end up building a massive army of tokens, and as you kill those tokens, you do damage to anything you want on the board. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. Descend upon the Sinful. Exile all creatures. Delirium. Create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Cost 6 to play it. It's only sorcery speed. It's not my favorite card, but it's alright, I suppose. Chromatic Lantern, that's a good one to have. Lands you control tap for any color, and it taps for one of any color. So, pretty solid 3 drop there. Gonna have to move you up here probably because I don't think I'm gonna. Enchantment there, instant there. As long as there's no planeswalkers, we'll be good. We'll put a planeswalker here if we end up with one. Marshall's Anthem. Multi-kicker, 1 and a white, costs 2 and 2 white to put into play though. Creatures you control get +1/+1, and when it enters the battlefield, return up to X target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the number of times you kick this thing. Okay, so as long as you are able to at least kick it once, you're getting a creature back, and all your creatures are going to get +1/+1. Not bad. And that's a permanent thing, the +1/+1. So not bad. Sheltered Thicket, land, mountain, forest. Enters the battlefield tapped, and you can cycle it for 2. That's pretty decent land. Scoot Swarm, nice. Always good to have Scoot Swarms. One of the better cards for landfall decks for sure. Whenever a land enters the battlefield and you control, you get you get an insect token. But if you control 6 or more lands, you actually get a copy of Scoot Swarm. Power of Promise. I wonder if there's going to be Scoot Swarm tokens in here. That'd be kind of neat. Probably not though. Wire of Promise, 4 and a green. Search your library for up to 2 land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Then, if you control 3 or more deserts, create 2/2/2 black zombie creature tokens. Nice. So far, no instants. That's a interesting thing. Maybe this deck won't have a lot of instant speed response abilities. White, you would think, would have a few at least. Green and red, maybe not as much, but Oracle of Moldiah. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You can play lands from the top of your library. Nice. It's 2/2 for 4. I'll take that any day. Naga Cleric. Ramunap Excavator. Okay. You can play lands from your graveyard. Nice. Scattered Groves, Forest and Plains. Enters battlefield tap, cycles 2. I'm assuming there's also going to be a red and white one. World Shaper, Merfolk Shaman. Whenever World Shaper attacks, you may mail 3 cards. And when it dies, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Damn. Damn. Has to die though, so it won't work with the 1 card that we had before that exiles everything. Nesting Dragon. 3 and 2 red for 5/4 with flying. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you get to create a 0/2 red dragon egg creature token with Defender. And when this creature dies, create a 2/2 red dragon creature token with flying and pay red. This creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. That's kind of crazy. Not gonna lie, that's kind of crazy. And I do love my egg creation stuff. If I hadn't just put my second copy of Atla Polani Nest Tender into my dinosaur deck, or my dragon deck, I would probably put that into this if I decide to upgrade it, because this could definitely get some. This deck is cool so far, though. Guys, I'm really liking this Precon. I don't know about you, but I'm thinking this one's got some definite punch potential. Whenever 1 or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you get to create a 0/1 green plant creature token. Sacrifice 3 creatures, return target land from your graveyard to your hand. I don't like that second ability at all. But that first ability is pretty good. Savine's Reclamation. Return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If the spell was cast from a graveyard, you may copy this spell and may choose a new target for the copy. Okay, so the first time you pay 2 and a white and you get 1 permanent. When you pay the flashback, which is 4 and a white, you get 2 permanents. Pretty good. Still sorcery speed. No instance yet. Ancient Green Warden. 4 and 2 green, 5/7, reach. You may play lands from your graveyard. If a land entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Nice. Like that. Ooh. Legendary. Diana, Protector of Argoth. When she enters the battlefield, return target land from your graveyard to the battlefield. Whenever a land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 5/3 green elemental creature token. Damn. Which will work really well with the Omnath because it's still an elemental, so cool. Those two feed off each other nice in a combo. First instant of the day, finally. Return of the Wild Speaker. Choose one. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control. So far, the only was there any other humans besides the commander, of course? I think they were all elves and merfolk and stuff. Yeah, I didn't see a single human yet. No. So that card will trigger with a whole bunch of stuff. Sure. Get a bunch of cards, or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. Both solid, solid, oh my goodness. Choices. Can you tell that I'm sleepy still? I should probably wait another hour before doing this, but I wanted to make sure I got this out into the ether for you guys super early so that I could also put out the Kaiba video later on from yesterday that we looked at during the live stream, but it really wasn't super clear, so I figured give you guys a nice crisp version of it. Perennial Behemoth. Beast, artifact creature, 2/7 for 5. Play lands from your graveyard. Bunch of things are letting me do that, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Avenger of Zendikar. Nice. Now that is a solid one to have in this deck. First off, Elemental goes with Omnath. Second off, when it enters battlefield, you get a whole bunch of plants based on how many lands you control, and whenever a land comes into play, you can put a +1/+1 counter on each plant you control. So your 0/1 plants are going to get super beefy. It's also going to work well with the plant druid over here. I think there might have been another 2 or 3 plants so far, maybe? Is there any other plants? No other plants so far, but I'm sure there'll be a few. So, pretty stoked about that. That's a good pull. For sure. Has has Hazazon, Shaper of Sand. I'm going to apologize to whatever language that's supposed to be in because I probably butchered that. Red, green, and white, so solid start there, only a 3 cost. 3/3. Desert Walk. This creature can't be blocked as long as a defending player controls a desert. You may play desert lands from your graveyard. Whenever a desert enters the battlefield under your control, create 2/1/1 red, green, and white sand warrior creature tokens. Huh. Neat. Not sure how I'm going to give my opponents deserts, but there's got to be a way in this deck, I assume. Otherwise, that seems kind of silly. Exile the top 5 cards of your library. You may play cards exiled this way until the end of your next turn. You may play an additional land this turn. Costs 5 to put that into play, though. But you do have until the end of your next turn, so that does give you a chance to actually get back around to the beginning. And it lets you play instants that are exiled this way in other people's turns, which is pretty cool. So, if there's a way to untap your lands in this deck, which I'm not sure if there is or not, that would be pretty sick. Heaven deals X damage to each creature with flying. Okay. Earth. I was going to go with the other one, HE double hockey sticks, but okay, Heaven and Earth. Aftermath, cast from your graveyard, then exile. Earth deals X damage to each creature without flying. Alright. I thought that was Earthquake, but whatever. Instant and sorcery, so I'll put it in the instant pile because you have to play the instant first. Genesis Hydra. When you cast this spell, reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put a non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield, then shuffle the rest into your library. That's neat that you actually shuffle instead of just putting them to the bottom. And this thing enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. So it's 2 green and X to put into play. Pretty good. Sunscorched Divide. That would be probably one of the lands I would replace. Although I do like the artwork on it. It's very pretty, but I hate the ones that you pay 1 to get 2 colored lands. While it does seem beneficial per se, I just find it complicates things when you're trying to figure out what you're going to play and how you're going to play it. Maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe it's just because I'm still fairly new to the game and I don't play a lot of games regularly, so it could be that. The Mending of Dominaria. Puggy has shifted. Oh, baby boy. Mill two cards, then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. I like that actually because you don't have to necessarily return it from the cards you milled. So if you play this late in the game, you can actually get a couple of pretty solid pieces back. Assuming you haven't exiled your graveyard yet. And return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, then shuffle your graveyard into your library. They don't enter tapped? Holy crap! Okay, that's an insane enchantment. That is really, really powerful. Decimate. 2 in red and a green. Destroy target artifact, target creature, target enchantment, and target land. You can't cast a spell unless you have a legal choice for all of its targets, though. This is one of those ones that I'm not super fond of because it's so easy to, let's say, I target your artifact and you find a way to blow up your artifact. Then this spell will fizzle because I no longer have a valid target for each thing. So I'm not a huge fan of this spell, to be perfectly honest. As effective as it is, you really have to count on people not being able to counter it. Sand Scout. 1 and a white for a 2/2. When this thing enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you do, search your library for a desert card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. So far, I haven't seen any desert lands, though. That's the weird thing. Whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you create a 1/1 red, green, and white sand warrior creature token. Only happens once per turn, though. I hate the once per turn thing at the end there, but otherwise, pretty damn solid card. Embrace the Unknown. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of the next turn. You may play those cards, and this thing has Retrace. You can cast this spell from your graveyard by discarding a land in addition to paying its other costs. It's not bad. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Impulse Draw. You're not going to see me play it in a lot of my decks. Um, I think my one Spellslinger deck does it kind of frequently because it's the one that's based off of the Outlaws at Thunder Junction deck that I originally bought, so and that had a lot of Impulse stuff in it. But other than that, I don't think I play Impulse very much. Doomchanter is a plant, so it's going to get some bonuses from the Avenger Zendikar if it's out together. Reach, lands you control, and lands in. Okay, lands you control and land cards you own that aren't on the battlefield are deserts. Ooh, that's how we're going to get the desert thing. Okay. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, and you can tap this guy to mill 2 cards. You gain 1 life for each land card milled this way. Nice. That's going to be a key thing to try and keep on the field. Cataclysm Prospecting deals X damage to each creature. For each mana from a desert spent to cast this spell, create a tapped treasure token. There's a lot of spells in here that seem to want a board wipe. I find that interesting because we want to build a huge board state. And while I get the idea of the whole sacrificing the lands and bringing them back mechanic in this deck, that makes a lot of sense. Sacrificing your board really doesn't seem to make a lot of sense in this deck. Anyways, Vengeful Regrowth. Return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Create that many 4/2 green plant warrior creature tokens with reach. That's pretty neat, and it has flashback. I do like that. Again, so we have 2 instants so far. Sorcery pile is pretty big. Even the enchantments and artifacts are actually pretty small. Sorcery is definitely the go-to in this deck, other than creatures, of course. Angel of Endymnity. Endym. Damn. My speech impediment is going to make this one a hard one to actually say. You really don't notice my speech impediment anymore. I've actually gotten really good at overcoming it since my childhood, but certain words like this, because of the way the M and the N get put together, I just can't do it. So we're just going to call this the Angel of I. The Angel of I is flying in lifelink and it's a 5/5 for 6. Whenever Angel of I enters a battlefield, return target permanent card with mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And it has an Encore 6 and 2 white, so you can exile it from the graveyard, make 3 copies of it, assuming you have 3 opponents. They will attack for 1 turn, and then they'll all get sacrificed. But in return, you're going to get the ETB for each of those tokens, which is pretty good. So, solid creature. Cactus Preserve. Finally, our first actual desert. Enters the battlefield tapped, add 1 mana of any color that a land you control could produce. Pay 3 until end of turn. This thing becomes an XX green plant creature token with reach, where X is the greatest mana value among your commanders. My mana value is always going to be 8, assuming that because it doesn't the commander tax doesn't count in as mana value, so I would always have an 8/8, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Rumbleweed. I'm not surprised that this is in here. 10 and a green for an 8/8, but it costs 1 less to cast for each land in your graveyard. It has Vigilance, Reach, and Trample, and when it enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +3/+3 and get Trample until end of turn. Pretty insane guy. If there's a way in this deck to give things haste, that would be an insane one to put out and try and use as a win con. Terramorphic Expanse, of course, and Evolving Wilds to go fetch lands, because why not? We do have a Swiftfoot Boots, so I was hoping for a Lightning Greaves, but I will take the Boots. That can definitely protect a lot of the key pieces in this deck. Only equip 1, and it only costs 2 to put in play. I've always been a fan of the Boots. Explore, play an additional land this turn, draw a card. Classic sorcery. Soul Ring. I'm not sure I like the artwork on that one, to be honest. When the Great Vault fell, it scattered its wonders across Thunder Junction. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? That's not my favorite Soul Ring, to be honest. Satyr Wayfinder. 1 and a green for a 1/1. When it enters battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library, put a land into your hand, put the rest into your graveyard. Perpetual Timepiece. 2 for an artifact that lets you tap to mill 2 cards, or pay 2 and exile it to shuffle any number of target cards from your graveyard into your library. Nice. Lets you get your stuff back, lets you mill your stuff so that you can get your commander out for more quickly. I'm good with that. That's a pretty solid artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may mill 2 cards. It's an enchantment for 3. And whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere for the first time each turn, you get to create an insect. Ah, Crawling Sensation. I think I have something very similar to this in my Micro Tyrant deck. Can't remember exactly what it's called, but something similar. Painted Bluffs. We've pulled a decent number of these recently in that video on Saturday. So, won't be putting any of them into my deck, obviously. Command Tower. Magmatic Insect. As an additional cost, cast this spell, discard a land, draw 2 cards. Oh, okay. Krosan Verge. Enters battlefield tapped. Tap to add colorless. Pay 2, tap, sacrifice this thing, and you can get a forest and a plains, put them onto the battlefield tapped. That's actually pretty cool in this deck because we do have the versatile forest and plains one there, mountain forest one. Still haven't seen the third one of the set, but I'm assuming it's in this pile somewhere. So can fetch all 3 in theory. Not a bad fetch land there. All right, Desert of the True. I like the artwork on that. Enters battlefield tapped, add colorless, cycle for 1 and a white. Not bad. Skullwinder. Death Touch. Skullwinder enters the battlefield. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Then choose an opponent. That player returns a card from their graveyard to their hand. I don't know how much I like that. Giving other people resources is not always the best idea, but we'll see how it goes. Desert of the Indomitable. Another beautiful desert that has cycling and taps for one color and enters tapped. Drungle Shrine. Bitter Reunion. Enters the battlefield. You may discard card. If you do, draw 2 cards. Pay 1, sacrifice this thing. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. There you go. So use this to get the Tumbleweed haste, and the Tumbleweed rolls over everything, plus the rest of your board at that time. Pretty solid. And step win con kind of play. That completes the 3 deserts with cycling. Valorous Stance. 1 and a white. Hooray, it's another instant. Target creature gets indestructible until end of turn. Or destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. Probably picking the first one. Dunes of the Dead. Desert. Taps for colorless. When it is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Nice. Makes it useful for recursion. Shifted Dunes. Desert. Taps for colorless. Tap, pay 1 life, add white. Pay 2 and 2 white, tap it, sacrifice a desert. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. I'm not going to likely do that last ability very often unless I really need to sacrifice a land for some reason to trigger stuff on the field. The rest of it's okay though. Hashep Oasis. Pay 1 and a life. Or sorry, tap, get white. Tap for colorless. Tap, pay 1 life, get green. Pay 1 and 2 green, tap, sacrifice a desert. Target creature gets +3/+3 until their turn. Also meh. Give them trample, give them vigilance, give them something. Make it worth my while. Elvish Rejuvenator enters the battlefield. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Oh, that one's not so bad. Costs 3 for a 1/1. Yeah, okay. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Sure. Winding Way. Choose creature or land, reveal the top 4 cards of your library, put all cards of the chosen type into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. That's a good way to get some lands into your graveyard, potentially. Spring Bloom Druid. Enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a land. If you do, search your library for up to 2 basic lands. Put them onto the battlefield tab. Nice. Arcane Signet, always a plus. Unholy Heat. Deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. But it deals 6 damage instead if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. And it's only a 1 cost, so that's pretty good. Thrilling Discovery. Gain 2 life, then you can discard 2 cards. If you do, draw 3. Okay. Electric Revelation. As an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards. Has flashback. Instant for a change. Eccentric Farmer, 2 and a green. When this thing enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards, then you may return a land from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. Harrow. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a land, search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. You can do it at instant speed, that's nice. There's our last sacrifice desert. So this one, taps are colorless, tap, pay a life, get red. Pay 2 and 2 red, tap, sacrifice a desert. This thing deals 2 damage to each opponent. That one is actually really good. That one I would use more frequently than the other 2. Path to Exile, solid instant. Requisition Raid. What is this? Pay white, and then it's got sprees. So you've got to pay an extra 1 colorless for each of the following abilities. You can destroy an artifact, destroy an enchantment, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. So potentially you're paying 1 white and 3 to get a pretty damn solid sorcery. I will not say no to that one. Bovine intervention. Destroy target artifact or creature its controller gets. That I'm not super fond of, but I suppose it's like Beast Within, per se. Just a weaker version. Map the Frontier. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and or desert cards. Put them onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Sorcery speed for 4? That's not bad. Conduit Pylons. Desert land. When it enters the battlefield, surveil 1, taps for colorless, or you can pay 1 and you get to add 1 a mana of any color. Sure. Mirage Mesa, that's the other one we pulled a couple copies of that I was thinking about putting in here, so already accomplished. Choose the battlefield tapped. As it does, choose a color. Add 1 mana for the chosen color. Wreck and Rebuild. Pay 1 red and a green to either destroy target artifact or enchantment, or mill 5 cards and you can put a land from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. And it has flashback. There's a lot of things with flashback in here. I'm thinking that you should have like there should be something that triggers off of all the flashbacking, but I haven't seen anything yet. Angel of Ruins. 5 and 2 white for a 5/7 flying. Enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. I like this because they don't come back when this thing dies. That's actually pretty solid. And you can plain cycle it for 2. Pretty solid. Bristling Backwoods. Desert enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target opponent, and you get red or green. Nice. Creosote Heath. Same thing, but white and green. Abraded Bluff. Same thing, but white and red. Scaretiller. Scarecrow, 1/4 for 4. Whenever it becomes tapped, you can put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, or return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Nice. Now, is there any way I can actually tap this without having to attack with it, is the question. Nantuko Cultivator. 3 and a green for a 2/2 insect druid. When it enters the battlefield, you may discard any number of land cards. Put that many +1/+1 counters on this and draw that many cards. I mean, if you got the right starting hand, or even just you get to pull a bunch of lands later on, that's pretty good. And now we're just into our lands. So we didn't end up getting the. That's actually kind of sad. The one land we did not get is the one that completed this cycle over here. The Mountain Forest, we got the Forest Plains. We did not get the Plains Mountain. Unless I missed it. To be honest, I'd almost rather have the Plains Mountain than have the Jungle Shrine. The Jungle Shrine, first off, doesn't make sense thematically. And second off, it would just make the deck feel more complete. I don't know whether I have that land. If I do, that might be the only thing I switch out of this deck. And hope that people just don't notice that I switched it out. Insect token, elemental, angel, plant, sand warrior, zombie, ox, plant, treasure, dragon egg, dragon, plant. Oh, plant warrior plant, sorry. Bounty. Oh, I forgot there were bounty cards in this deck. Nice. That means, how many are there? 3. So I'm up to 6 bounty cards because I have the 3 from the other set, from the other deck, somewhere upstairs. I don't know how many bounty cards you need to actually play with bounty on the table. I can't remember how that even actually works. Is there anything here that explains bounty? It'd be nice if the last, this regular insert that they put in for everybody, just for regular precons, would have actually explained, oh, it explains it on the back. Never mind. Never mind, it explains it on the back of the on the back of the bounty cards. Okay. What we got? What we got? We got Lord uh Lord Fa. Sorry, again, I can't get that language right. I apologize to everybody. I'm not trying to be rude. I would feel worse if I tried to pronounce it and butchered the crap out of it than to try and fail. So we're going to go with Lord Fa. At the beginning of your end step, if a land was put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, collect your reward. Before the game, shuffle at least 6. Okay, as long as we have 6, we're good. Nice. Starting player's third turn begins, reveal the top bounty card. Okay. Claim the revealed bounty during your turn and collect your reward. As each turn begins, if no bounty is being offered, reveal the next one. If the pile is empty, shuffle all claimed bounties to restock. If a bounty went unclaimed last turn, increase its reward level to the next level. Nice. So this one's rewards are a treasure token, 2 treasure tokens, and a draw, or a draw card, sorry, and 2 treasure tokens and draw a card. I think that's true of all of them, isn't it? Yes, looks like that. Yes. Okay. So that's our first bounty. Our second bounty is that a Q? I'm gonna go with a Q. So pack fleeting filter. At the beginning of your end step, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, collect your reward. Nice. And Vara Beth Hannifer. At the beginning of your end step, if the nearest opponent to your right as the turn began was dealt combat damage this turn, collect your reward. At the beginning of your end step, if the nearest opponent to your right, so the person sitting to your right, was dealt damage. So you have to attack that person and hope you deal combat damage to them. Okay. Yeah. All good ones. I'm happy with those. I can't remember what my first 3 bounties were, but I now officially do have 6, which is nice. How many lands were in this total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 34, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. That's surprising though. Look, there's only 4 basic mountains, but there are 6 plains and 7 forests. Damn. So it's definitely a green heavy deck, apparently, more so than anything else. But I thought there was a decent amount of red in this. Like I say, I think the only thing I would probably replace right off the cusp, just because it is going to annoy me, is this, and put in the third land that has mountain and plains on it. I'm sure I have a copy of it upstairs in my land box. Beyond that, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to run this as a precon for now. There are some cards that I'm tempted to take out and replace and upgrade it a little bit, but I want to see how it actually plays first, I think. So that's what I'm going to do. And I might play it today after I sleeve it up. Do I have them over here somewhere? Maybe. Maybe. Ah, they're over here. I grabbed, ivory sleeves for this because I thought that they looked the most like sand color. So I think that that would be really cool for the desert theme of the deck. So I will probably sleeve that up and try it out today at some point this afternoon. Of course, we can't go without revealing what's in here. And now is the time where I'm going to try and do this in a regularly quicker fashion so that we can put this out as a short, possibly later on. Okay. It is time now to open our collector sample booster pack. Let's see what we got, ladies and gentlemen. As we close out this deck opening of the Desert Bloom Precon. Put that down there. First off, we've got our Discover the Coolest Cards scan here thing. Ooh, reaches the Blastmaker. That's cool. Legendary creature, Goblin Pirate. Red and black. Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to make a red, black, green Goblin deck, I guess. Menace. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you may sacrifice an artifact. If you do, flip a coin. When you win the flip, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. When you lose the flip, Reach's Blastmaster deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target. Oh, that is cool. Yeah, okay. So I'm definitely gonna have to go get a red, green, and black commander for my goblin deck, unfortunately, because that is too cool not to include. And Fling! We got Fling! Oh, the professor would be so excited to see that. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Fling deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. Nice! Great little sample pack. I'm pretty happy with that one. Alright, guys. I think that's all I got for you today. Definitely check out this deck if you get a chance to. I think it looks like a solid one to at least build around if you're not interested in just playing it outright as a Precon. And yeah, give you a last little shot of the puck. Much love to you all from us to you. Take care. Have a nice Sunday. And we'll see you next week. Well, I guess this week, technically. Bye.